Has your website design been optimized for the user experience or the UX experience? Our guest today, Lex Syvella, owner of Studio Vella Designs, shares why small business owners need to understand the technology habits of their clients and how to optimize websites to provide a friendly, strong, profit-driven user journey. Welcome to the 15-ish minute coffee chat live stream and podcast with Anna and Selena, 9 seasons of helping entrepreneurs and small business owners build more profitable businesses.
Hey, good morning-ish, right?
Yeah, sort of. It's kind of like a good morning. It's a good morning in Japan, right?
Yeah, because guess what? That's where our guest is from.
Yes, our guest is in Japan today. And so we are actually recording this right now at like what, 6 o'clock p.m. on a Friday night in Texas. Well, our guest is at 9 a.m. in
on
Japan
a Saturday.
On a Saturday
It's
morning.
like we're talking to the future.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
think.
now you are too. Right?
This is what happens when you have like a late night Anna and Selena show. This is what happens.
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to bring up, let me just kind of like move some things around. And let's just kind of share with you Lex is a human, but who is Lex today for today's show? So let me bring up her bio. All right. Lex Syvella, owner, Studio Vella Design, sees small businesses serve as a powerhouse for community strength. She helps small business owners cultivate deep and meaningful relationships with their clients and customers without feeling burned out by trying to keep up with the latest digital marketing trends or rules of the algorithms. So true. Mm-hmm. Her clients want to nurture a more personal connection with the people that support their work. Studio Vella Designs helps by providing a more engaged approach to branding, marketing, and other digital strategies, resulting in clients that build an authentic sense of trust and in return cultivate a greater sense of what it means to be part of a community.
So, I just love that. I love that mission, right?
No, and this is kind of like exactly what they tell you when you have an about of yourself. Lex made it not even about herself, but about her clients.
Yeah. It's about her clients, what she's going to do for them, how she's going to serve and support them, how she's going to make a better space for them. I love it.
Yes.
And that's what a user experience is kind of all about, right?
Yes. Because I know I picked up on it, not because we are in that, but just you're like, oh, wow, she's going to do that for me and that for me. And that's what I want. And that's what I mean, right?
Yes. So as we're bringing Lex up, let's ask our CTA.
I know. Here, Anna, this is usually my part. Anna, what is our call to action for our guests?
Call to action today is going to be this question right here.
Yeah.
Has your website design been optimized for the user experience? So if you go to your website, have you really thought through that journey? Is it optimized for that? Do you even know how to optimize it for that? This is why you're going to be so excited to meet Lex. In like 5, 4,
yes, 3. You do the counting. I'll bring her up.
All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring her up.
Hi. Welcome to the future.
Yes. So true. Thank you, Lex. I know we're kind of quirky and oddbally at 6 p.m. Texas time, but you know. Yes. Thank you for literally. I think it's really refreshing to see an about section really be about the client still, even though it's about you, but it's still about them, right?
So, thank you. Yes. Yeah.
This is where the journey starts, guys. Right
there. The journey has begun.
Yes. Anna, okay, before we ask questions, because I'm really excited about this topic, and Lex will know I kind of geeked out in her DMs on Instagram, and I was like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. So let's do our coffee cup selfie so we can get that out of the way.
Coffee cup selfie. I actually went and got coffee today,
Wait, I can read some Japanese. Hold on. I think that means, I don't know the first one. That might be me. Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me what that is.
Something about well, I want to cover it up so that it has like flowers or something, because I think I think it's like a fitness or like metabolic health,
like health
kind of, and we're inclusive of all shapes and sizes
yes
of bodies. So I want to redecorate it so that it's like cute and has flowers or something. Yes, this is a thrift. This is a thrift find. I saw it, and he's got a little arm. I was like,
oh my gosh,
I think it's fantastic.
I'm a little
add it to my collection.
Yes. All right. Okay. Let's we're gonna just jump in because and we'll get things rolling for you. I'm gonna move some faces around here, and we're gonna put you like that.
Yeah. So we kind of breezed over it really quickly, but I want to drop this question one more time. If you're listening right now and you haven't dropped it in the comments yet, tell us if your website design has been optimized for the user experience, okay? Because we want to hear from you. We want to hear whether or not this is something you've even thought about, because that's kind of what this whole show is about today. So, okay.
And just because I know it's funny, we said like we're not going to say in some recording, but we are. We've already said it. Me and Anna are going to be here live in the comments. So if you have a question, we're still going to answer. We're still dropping things in. If Lux is up at like 1 a.m., maybe she'll pop in. You never know. So having said that, let's get on to the first question.
Okay, so the very first question is a very simple one, right?
Yeah.
What is UX design? Or is it simple? Because really,
very
what is UX design, Lex?
So I think the Spark Notes version of this concept of UX design, and it's a big umbrella term. There's a lot of things, buckets underneath it, but essentially it's just welcoming your users into your business operation decisions, and the design process. Your clients, your customers, people in your community, basically anybody who you serve or benefits from the work that you do. And the goal here, or how I like to think of it in my business, is to gain a better understanding of how your clients might be using your website or using your products, whether those are in real life products or web-based products, and or how they move through your website and book services with you. But another way that I like to think about it is that it can be as foundational as testing to see if your brand story or your tone of voice is something that's resonating with the people that you're trying to reach. And so in broader terms, again, it just pays particularly careful attention to the client's buying journey. That might be something that a lot of us here would be familiar with, that term. And it just encompasses, their entire experience, from the initial introduction to who you are, hey, I found this business, I'm interested in learning more about them, all the way through to the end where hopefully they've booked a service with you, they really enjoyed themselves, they want to come back, they want to bring their mom, their neighbors, their congregation, their cult leaders, like just any just the entire experience.
No, oh my gosh. Okay, so I have a special mic here, and I'm going to talk about it's because I'm obsessed, right? So can you see it? This is a Disney mug from Starbucks, and you want to talk about user experiences, right? Just like what Lex just said. For me, the reason why I love it is like one of their key things is, you know how they have different at Disneyland and Disney World, they have different worlds and you have different characters. So you will never see a pirate in Fantasyland crossing over to their break room, because it's part of the experience of the guest to experience each land how it was meant to be, right? So they have an underground. They created an alternate for these characters to get through. So their users, which is me, right? And so it's very similar, like you just said, right? It's creating a very seamless experience for the guest, so there's no disruption of the experience, right? Like
exactly. And I think one thing that I find, like, and how this can be, apply more so to small businesses, is that when you have a user experience lens in business, and by inviting those people into your design process, you're getting like an even bigger return. Whether that's building organic and meaningful relationships with them, because you're genuinely invested in solving a problem that they have, but solving it in a way that like makes sense to their brain and how they would interact with your website or your product, or your services. And another really good thing about it is that it helps us to avoid any assumptions or biases about our clients, and whether those biases are conscious or unconscious, about their needs and their pain points and their trauma or lived experiences. And that can be easy to do when we're marketing our business. If you're somebody who's kind of deconstructing everything that we've learned about marketing, that's kind of been the only way that we've learned about building a business, is pain point based and assumption based. And so this is more of, I want to center my users' thoughts and their feelings, and what drives them to want to meet this need that they have, rather than just assuming that we know what's best for them and we're inside of their minds. It's allowing them to kind of take the wheel and meet them where they're at, if that makes sense.
This is so interesting to me because just listening to the way that you describe user experience, it's different than I've heard others describe it. Like very frequently when you say user experience, you're talking about a singular journey, like the website journey, or I just downloaded an app and it's not functioning well, so I'm going to give it 2 stars because I'm having a terrible experience with it, right? But what you've just said is that this user journey literally starts from your first touch point through your entire marketing funnel to their them deciding to buy your item, and then continues after that to circle them back around to become loyal community customers that want to use you over and over again.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. Like it's such a bigger, it creates a much bigger arena, I guess you would say, for user experience than I have previously, like, I guess, identified with in terms of like using that term.
For sure.
But I just love how you kind of broke it down, like where you're saying this is you. It's really about getting to know your client inside your client's brain. And that's hard, right? Because that's psychological.
Yeah.
All the way. I think exactly. And I think from, a business's, when you are first starting out, one of the first things that they tell you, especially about marketing, is that you need to know who your ideal client is before you even get to step 1. And I think a lot of people kind of like freeze. And if you're not exactly sure what that looks like for you, user experience can kind of be an opportunity for you to step back and ask them and figure out what it is that, what needs they want or they need to be met. And it just encompasses more of who they are as humans rather than who they are as just consumers, which I think is, moving forward in light of becoming more virtual and this technology based, is something that is really going to help small business owners set themselves apart from others, is a genuine investment in building relationships with your clients.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. And I think like, it's work, right? It's not easy because you have to put in the time, right? And that's why,
for sure.
That's why there are actually people like Lex who are, and this is not where you go and you take a quiz and then you spend 1 hour and it says, okay, now you're a UX. There are some certifications in process so that you can understand how to be one. But this is where if you don't want to spend the time, you hire somebody like Lex to come into your business and do. I mean, there's many different components, which I'm learning because I'm taking this course, but I'm nowhere near where Lex is. But it's like, there's research, there's surveying, there's this stuff, and I think, like I said, I'm fascinated by it because I do like to know from A to Z. And the Z could be when you're, say that like small business package makes it to the unboxing of when they actually get the product and what the tissue paper looks like, or and maybe a little,
or where it's sourced.
Yes. Like, I mean, going all the way there, and like you being there says, hey, and how do we circle them back to you, right? That card maybe has like an Instagram because they love to show their boxing. I mean, but it's all the things, right? So I love this, but yes, like it's work, but if you're willing to put in the work, I think you're going to see the return, right, Lex?
Yeah. And I think it's definitely just knowing your, like, being firm in your core values, what's important to you, and figuring out how to ask people the right kind of questions so that you can gauge, what kind of experience you want to develop for them when they're interacting with your brand or your business. And I think that's the abstract part of it all.
Right. Can I ask this question? Have you ever encountered someone that just doesn't feel their research is right? Like they're like, no, it should be like this. I know my people. And you're like, no, I'm telling you. Like, have you encountered a client yet like that? Well, you know what? Let's say, have you heard wink, 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 wink. Have you heard of anybody that had an experience like that? Let's go there.
On it, clients, I have been super fortunate, and in my time working with clients one-on-one, I have been able to build my own kind of relationship with them and understanding their working style and communication skill so that I know how to communicate the value of the research. And the beautiful thing about research is that even if it's something that maybe the client is like, ooh, I don't know about this, research is more of an objective way of looking at things. And so I am able to kind of like hone in on that so that it's not like, hey, it's not anything that you're doing. It's just, a bit of the bigger picture that maybe we're missing here. And so that's when it comes down, like what's really important is defining goals and communicating what does success look like for you in this project with your client. And then, you sit with them and you develop specific research questions and you guide them to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Yeah. So I've not in my client experience, I haven't. When I've worked in like with organizations, I've experienced pushback, but there are a lot more like stakeholders and people who aren't doing like the boots on the ground work that like to make assumptions. But yeah, just being able to foster my own relationships individually with my clients is what has kept that like to a minimum. People have trusted me, which is I'm so grateful for. I'm like, what? Me? How? I don't know what I did, but it's great.
So I have to tell you from Selena's question, I had a client that I was working with going through kind of like a strategic plan for their marketing. It was a smaller business and they hadn't really ever done that before. They'd never really gone and created a strategic marketing plan for what they wanted. And I remember talking to him about, I wanted to create kind of these ideal client avatars, right? Where that really is about taking them through that user journey a little bit, like really identifying kind of who is your client? What is it that they're concerned about? Asking those kinds of questions. This client hated this exercise. Like they fought me at every turn. They're like, this is stupid. Why do I have to give them a name? Why do I have to picture them in my head? And I'm like,
you have to humanize them.
Yeah. I said, you fighting me on this? I said, listen, it's all up to you, right? You get to choose the way you want to create your marketing strategy. But if you don't have someone pictured in your mind when you are making decisions about the words you write and the things you do and the choices you make, you're going to choose based on you, and you may not be your ideal client. You're going to choose the things you prefer. And so he did sit with me for a very long time, and we did specifics. I said, does this person laugh when you say this kind of joke? I don't know. Right. I'm like, imagine them. Do they laugh? Do they find that funny? Because if not, you don't want to put that kind of humor in your copy. Right.
So and it takes a lot of introspection. and being able to humanize somebody that's in your brain, because they say if you're writing to everybody, you're writing to nobody. And
Yes.
so when you're like the process, like that's a great process. So sorry.
No, it's just kind of was like, I'm identifying with what you're talking about right now, because I just remember this client and how hard I had to push for them to even like develop a persona of someone they wanted to
Yeah.
sell for, and how much they fought me on that. And just listening to what you're saying, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's even more important than people realize to be able to do that, because it isn't just about selling to them. It's literally start to finish every part of your business operation that you have to use that persona to build around.
Yes.
You know, and so that makes it even a bigger deal, right? All of a sudden, I'm feeling like I need to go back and
No, I'm telling you. So, Lex, when I started the first part of the UX course with Google, I was like, oh my gosh, Anna needs to do the UX copy part, because she does a lot of that, the research that you're supposed to do, the interviewing with the potential clients, like audience. Like, I was like, Anna, take a course so you can add the UX by your name, because you're doing it. You know what I mean? Now you can get the tools, but like you said, kudos to you, Anna, not realizing that maybe you could be one. You know what I mean?
And now I'm like, heck,
you'd kick
I might as well get that certification right now.
I'd hire you. You can do mine.
I feel like it's easier to do it for someone else than it is to do it for yourself.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
That outside perspective, and really, and for small business owners that are struggling with this is where your community and like your like-minded community is going to really be able to support you. Asking questions like, do you like this product? Do you like this packaging? Do you like the way this looks? Right. And just listening to what the people, like I'm going to use the big general, the people are saying.
And it can also be as simple as how do you use this product?
Right.
Here's my website. Here's what I want you to do on my website. Do it. And, see how they navigate. Watch them navigate through. Take note of where they get stuck. Take note of when they make comments about, oh, this doesn't make sense, or like, this is how I would do it. And the more that you include people in that design process, the more patterns you're going to see. And then, you can kind of cater to those preferences of those specific people, because there's always going to be patterns that show up. And so, being able to do that.
And really, let's state the obvious here, right? The whole reason we do this is because if you're like me, I'm just going to throw myself under the bus right now. If I go to a website and I get frustrated, they are dead to me.
No, serious. Yes, that really is. We only have several seconds to capture the people that we're trying to reach. And so if it is intuitive and it is engaging, then they're going to stick around longer. And if they have this easy flow to get to where they need to be, then you're going to keep people around longer, and they're going to be more invested.
There's someone on my team, and I work with her, and she's, currently on a project with Anna and I. She just sent me a website link. She goes, let's talk about the worst website ever built on the face of the earth. And she sent me the link, and I was like, I opened it up and I thought, what in the world? Like, it was horrible. I mean, just horrible. But it's, she's cognizant of that, right? Like going like, and then how can you be upset if you don't get a sale? Right.
Right. Yeah. But, and I think that goes back to Anna's point too, of when you are the business owner, or when you are the person working on the product, you are so close to that product that it is hard to see your own biases. And it's hard to have a more objective point of view on it. So being able to bring in the outside, it helps you like bring down the blinders and be like, oh, I never would have thought of that as an issue. But you're absolutely right. It is.
Yeah.
It may be hard to take, but you know what? Like, if it's constructive, it just means that they want your business to succeed,
It's
right?
true.
So
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
cry
I really
later, but
yeah,
take
Yeah.
notes,
I know.
right?
I don't think UX designers are out there going, watch this, I'm gonna make them cry. You're only like your UX
Yeah.
designer for. I'm like, guess how many clients I made cry today?
Yeah, right. Well,
I
and
mean,
the thing is that there's such a pattern in design choices that we make based off of trends and based off of things that like we've been told are this is how you should do it, but at the end of the day it's not a one size fits all. So
Yeah.
there's definitely best practices that everybody can implement, and yeah, that's it.
I could talk about this question with you for so long.
I know, me too.
Because
I know.
I there's just so much to it, and I think what I love is that we're bringing kind of like, hey, whatever stage in your business that you're in, just consider this as part of your building of the business, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
So
yeah. Whoa, go ahead.
no, I
You're
was
leading this.
That's right. I'm in charge here. No, well, I mean, we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but I want to throw up the second question so we can kind of get to that. I want to ask specifically about some of the, because technology is such a big piece right now to your business journey. If you don't have a website, people are like, why don't you have a website? Or at least a Facebook page, if not a website, like some way where they can find information, because the yellow pages died with the early 2000s, right? Or maybe even the 90s, I'm guessing.
What are
right?
yellow pages?
Right? My children don't even know what that means, right? So the yellow pages are gone. And so there is a technology component that almost every business has to have at this point. And so that UX design idea with technology really is important. So our second question for you then is, what user technology habits do small business owners really have to be aware of and be thinking of as they're going through this process of designing this experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, first of all, one of the greatest things that you can and absolutely should do for your website, and this is just across the board, is ensure that it is ADA compliant. And that your websites, your apps, any web-based products being optimized for screen readers. If you have videos, making sure that you use closed captioning, appropriate use of alt text. I know that there was this trend on social media a while back where people were using the alt text function to enhance like their SEO so that people, could find them better as a way to like rank the system. Don't do that. Just use alt text the way that they're supposed to be used, because we want to be inclusive of people of varying abilities, and also just being very cognizant of the types of fonts that you use, the size of the fonts, and color schemes, especially for people with aging eyes or people who are colorblind. Those things are really important in their ability to navigate your website and book services with you.
look, that's across the board right there. I mean,
Yeah.
paying attention just to that should be something you're
Yes.
aware of. Okay, sorry, continue on.
Exactly.
I just was like,
yeah, it's a really important one that a lot of people, I think there was a study maybe a few years ago. I can find it and share, but it was like maybe a little over 1% of websites were not ADA compliant. And about 1 in 4 people in the United States lives with a disability of some kind. And that's a lot of people. That's a lot of buying power. And if we are excluding them from benefiting from our work and our services, then honestly, you're just doing yourself a disservice at that point, let alone the millions of people who don't have access to you and your work.
Well, and can I just throw this out there too? Just on the legal side of things, if your website is not ADA compliant, you can be fined. It doesn't
Yes.
matter how big your business is. If you've got a website
Mhm.
up there and you're not following certain ADA compliance rules, you can be targeted, fined, sued. I mean,
Yes.
and that is a reality. Selena and I have had clients that have had to deal with this.
Mhm.
And so,
It's a
and
big
and
cleanup.
not because we didn't build them one, but it was a client of a client that they were sued from another state even.
yeah.
Mhm.
And they
So
were a small business.
yeah,
This is not a giant, huge conglomeration. They were a small business and they were sued by someone with a disability who could not navigate their site properly.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
so there is a reality that comes with that. So it's even bigger than just best practice. Like there is a
Mhm.
legal component tied to that user experience in particular.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And not to like be on our fear tactic game right now, but there is a really handy website from the WCAG, and maybe we can include this in like the show notes
Yeah.
or something, or share it.
Yes.
And you can drop your URL, and that can give you some really good points and guidelines about your specific website and maybe what is or is not compliant. So
Oh, I love that.
have
We are
no fear. There's a
yes,
quick. So at
yes,
least you will be on the mend if you are in
yeah,
fact non-compliant in any of these
yes.
issues, because a lot of people aren't even aware of it, but it is something that is incredibly important.
So I'm going to drop that into the
Um,
comments right
okay.
now while we're
Yes.
talking about it. Okay. So
Yeah.
because Selena and I are coming on
Perfect.
and we're doing this live, even though we're not live, but I'm going to drop that into the comments. So make sure you go visit that website that Lex has given us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I got
Another
excited.
thing.
I got excited.
Oh.
No.
Okay. Another thing is that people don't read, they skim. They skim through text as much as we want them to like digest and internalize every single word that we have to say. It just doesn't happen. We have attention spans that are like this big. So when you can break up text in paragraphs, utilize italics, bold, anything that emphasizes the important points that you want to get across, definitely take advantage of that. Another thing that I see a lot is the use of inaccessible language. So across the board, best practice is to write your copy or any content writing at no higher than a 7th grade level, because eliminating the use of jargon or industry terms, something that you want to write a very 101 in introduction to what you're doing. And then it just like accessible language empowers. It just makes people feel like they just understand better. Another thing is and some of these things apply to you're going to design differently for users who are in their like 50s 60s versus like Gen Z 20s kind of users. But one thing across the board, and I actually learned about this in my networking group that I went to yesterday and hadn't thought about it, is that including permission-based conversations in your website. And so that means, when you go to a website and it says, hey, this is how we use your data, like we use cookies. Do you reject? Do you accept? Anything like that to be in compliance with. I know that Europe has passed laws about that, and the US is probably just a few years behind, but that's going to be essential for people to include on their website. It's anything permission based so that users know how you're collecting their data and where it's going after that. And then one thing that I've learned in my research is and also this was brought up in the networking class yesterday actually, but hover. When you have on a website, you have like your tabs where it's like home, about, services, and drop down. That's a thing of the past, because if your clickable link has drop downs underneath it, they're going to assume that headliner is not clickable, and they're going to miss whatever information is on that page. So just worry about just keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Can
simple creatures.
I want to jump in on that one, because yes, right? Like, so say you have about, and then under about is like design, strategy, website. But say you actually had something on the about, it doesn't assume.
Exactly.
Right? So moving forward, I actually will add another drop down that says about, even though it's about, but just so that they do click it and they don't miss it. I am so glad you brought that up, because right now, like you said, that's the workaround, but people miss those main pages.
Yes.
They don't realize there's content on it.
Almost every single like usability testing that I've done with, the previous design they have always missed pages. Like I would say, oh gosh, probably like 8, 9 out of 10 people. It's just not something that we're like, oh, here's the drop down. This is where the content begins. Not this button up here. It's just a placeholder for all of this content. Always missed. Yep.
Yeah.
But that's a really great way to alleviate that pain point for users, is to have the drop down, but still include, oh, it's about, well, here's the main about underneath the headline.
Perfect. Yeah. So this is why it is so important, though, to hire somebody with a UX background to help you find these pain points and to put it, I mean, in the sense, right, Lex, like you just said something, but somebody had to figure out, like, oh my gosh, right, because they researched how people were navigating around the site.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to throw out a copy side of this exact same thing too. When you're labeling those drop-down menus, don't use some witty, your term only kind of thing on there, because nobody knows what it is. They don't get it. And they're like, I'm frustrated. I don't know is this what I need? I don't know. I'm out of here. Dead to me.
Exactly.
Right? So
Anna, that's the shirt for you that we are making soon. You are dead to me.
Is now dead to me. Right.
That's such a great point, though, because I've found, users are more likely to click when they know exactly where a page is going to take them. And if they're like, hey, that looks like the next step in the problem that I'm going to solve, I'm going to click it. But if it's some obscure, like, I'm not really sure where that's going to take me, then they're less likely to be like, all right, there we go. They're just going to keep looking.
Or they leave the page.
Keep it clear. Or you're dead to them. They leave the page. They go somewhere else.
Like that should be like a verb, like that phrase is just a verb. Like you're dead to me means they bounced, they left your website, and you don't get the conversion, right? You get a higher bounce rate for those who know what that means on a website.
Tell them. Tell users exactly what action you want them to take.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very helpful. Choices are overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, if you analyze the way that you personally go to a website, you'll realize you want that. When you go to a site, you want that to happen. So why would you make that difficult for your client on your end, right? I mean, that's really what this is all about. Like,
it's true. And yes. And once you have your brain in like user experience mode, I had a friend that I went to breakfast with last week, and she told me, she was like, thank you. Now, every time I use a website, every time I use an app, every time I interact with somebody's business, I'm always like, well, the UX could be better on that. And I'm like, yes, you can't unsee it afterwards. And then you think about all the ways that it can be improved. Like, it's just and then
absolutely. Can I tell you what the one thing that I love about designing websites with Anna is we are two very different users, and so for our client, we really hit a lot of extra points that what doesn't matter to me matters to Anna, and we make sure we're incorporating a little bit of both of who we are as a user for our client. So because I mean, first we're like, would we even use this product, Anna? okay, if we did, how do we come? You know what I mean? But
step one.
step one, I mean, and we've done websites for our clients that will never use their stuff because we're not there yet. We're not there in our life
Yep.
yet to use it or whatever, right? But
Yep.
man, that's all like this is all such. I mean, you gave 4 really useful tips
Yeah.
on what user technology habits should be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And you probably thought she was going to mention like grab this tool and do this thing, but it is really usable, actionable information that you can easily look at yourself today and say, oh, does a pink on a red background seem good for my contrast levels for when a person is reading?
Yeah.
Probably not.
It might be your
Exactly.
brand colors that doesn't make it the right choice.
Right.
You know?
Yep. And even if it is, there's a way to simplify it so that it can work on any web-based product. It's just some things you can't really use together.
Yes.
It makes it hard to read. It's hard on my eyes.
Okay, I mean, okay, we're going into 41 minutes here, and
I know.
I could literally talk to you, Lex, for like 2 hours. But I want to kind of like catch people while they're still here. I want them to know about this cool toolkit that we are going to be talking about. Anna, before I even move to the toolkit, do you have a last statement, you're dead to me kind of a thing for Lex before we shift over?
No,
Yeah.
Lex, no, I don't. I think we've covered all the different areas. I think we've really touched on a little bit of everything. I mean, so valuable, right? For small business owners who have to wear so many different hats.
Yeah.
That this has really been a really good kind of broad, but also detailed conversation about the kinds of things that they need to be watching for with their user experience from start to finish. So Lex, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Okay, we're going to move and we're going to add into our toolkit something we think is very valuable. We want to include that you should, to get more of like her brilliance, join Lex's newsletter.
Yes.
But also I'm going to let her tell you about a special feature. One, you should do it even if it's not what's coming up, but I'm going to let Lex tell you all about it. If she's there.
I think she's there. Can you hear us, Lex?
Can you hear us, Lex? Oh, there you are. Lex.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Tell us about your website offering, your audit offering. Yes. Why should someone get it?
Yes. So this is just a very, very basic, I maybe my website has issues, or maybe I just need a second set of eyes on, what it looks like, maybe how my users are perceiving it, or even just a rundown of some best practices. Until October 31st, you can go and book these services with me. You get, we can either do it live, or I can send you a video of everything, so you can go back and watch again and again and make any edits that you need. But this is just a really super basic, and I'll go through every page and kind of talk to you about where maybe your users are getting stuck, or maybe some pain points that they have navigating through your stuff. And I would love to help you.
Yes.
You were having a special on it, correct? You're having a special on it right now, because I think we missed that part.
Yeah, 35% off until October 31st. I might go a little soft if there is a greater need for it, because I like staying busy. And
Okay. First of all, wait, I'm going to sell this a little bit more. You need a website audit. Here's the thing. If you haven't had anybody come over and look through your website just to give you like some helpful tips, right? Like the outside eyes that we were talking about earlier, go to Lex. She has actually a very reasonable price. Like part of me is like, well, no, I'm changing it. I'll have her do it after. But get an audit done. She's offering special that I think will get you ready for the holidays. I mean, the holidays are coming up, guys. And the thing, I just had a chat with someone today where we talked about don't do ads unless your website is ready. Like, you know what I mean? If you're going to send people to your house, you clean it up, right? Like, only if Anna comes over, I leave it how dirty it could be. But like, you know, if Lex comes over, I'm like, oh, a guest is here. Do that for your website. That's what Lex is offering you, a chance to see how to clean up your site so that when you have people coming to see your product or your service because they want to get it for the holidays, this is perfect. So we will make sure the link for this service is on our website in the comments. I would take advantage of this. And Lex is also a military spouse, entrepreneur. So you would be also, you know, supporting somebody in the community that is pretty bomb. What? No, I shouldn't say bomb. That's like a bad word for the military. Like fire. I don't know. You know, this is what happens. Okay, but we're moving on.
Let you ride off on the bomb, Selena.
I'm gonna be like, hi. I'm just gonna remove myself, guys. You know what I mean? I was doing like you know,
that was good.
You all know who I am,
like
Selena. Yeah. Okay, but look. Go look at this with Lex. I'm not joking. Her price for this website audit is very reasonable. And I think what you would spend on that, one, you can write it off for your business. And two, you'll make the money back if you do the improvements that she sees and says, hey, I think you could optimize here. You're ready. Like, take this website and go run ads or go whatever. So I don't know. That's all I'll say because I'm going to get myself in trouble.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let me pull this back up. What am I doing? Okay, here we are. I'll let Anna introduce this segment.
Yeah, so this is just how you and everybody who's watching live with us or catching the replay right now. And for anyone listening on the podcast, we're going to drop this in the notes for you. But here's how you can find Lex. And Lex, why don't you give them just a rundown of the best place to find you, what they're going to find on your social channels.
Yeah, you can find me in any various nap spot I have in my house. I would say that I'm most active maybe on Instagram. I got a fire Twitter account. I love to bully government and state representatives. If you want to catch me there. Yeah, I would say my Facebook or my Instagram, but also just my newsletter. I really am trying to like amp up my newsletter a bit so that I have some accountability and I can start writing things that I want to write about. So any of these works great. Whatever your preferred user preference is.
Yeah, there you go.
That's so perfect.
Right?
Slide into my be in my direct messages though. Don't expect me to post a lot of like
You're like, I'll like your content, not posting content.
Yeah.
Right.
Message me. I'll message you all day long. But
that's so funny. All right, go.
What I do here is she welcomes people to reach out and connect with her, right? So yes.
For sure. Well, I guess that means one thing, Anna. We're on to the tip jar. So I'm going to let you also take this because I think, again, I should just keep my mouth quiet from this point on.
So Carolyn Beasley, MBA CPA, she is one of our fantastic tip jar supporters, and she provided us this one about deductions, especially for rental property expenses. So if you have a rental property, you can save big money on tax bills by deducting all of eligible expenses. Make sure you know what they are. A few of them you can benefit from. One, legal fees for evictions. I hope you don't have to evict your person, tenant, that's what they're called, tenant. But if you find yourself in that unfortunate position, you can deduct legal fees, which is a huge benefit. And then always consult with your tax professional to be sure you're claiming everything you're entitled to. So reach out to Carolyn for more support on things like deductions and taxes and all those kinds of business things. And thank you, Carolyn, so much for providing our tip jar for today.
Yes, we love people like you that help people like us.
Yes, we do.
All right, here we are, Anna.
Yes. Okay. So next week, our guest is Justin Pearson. Justin is an entrepreneur at heart. He's a fantastic person. He's super charismatic and just fun to talk to. He's going to be talking about how to attract sponsors for a small business event. So if this is something that you're interested in, even if it's not for an event, how to attract sponsors that might want to support your business just in general, whether it be offering something to your clients like a freebie or an extra or something like that. This guy is a master networker, and he's going to share some hot tips on how you can do that as a small business owner, where you might not have a subscriber list of 20 million to entice some of those sponsors your way. So
I'm looking forward. Maybe Justin will help us get a sponsor for our podcast. I mean, you never know. We're manifesting it out there. So
there you go. Perfect.
Yep.
And as always, you can find us at annaandselena.com. We love LinkedIn. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. And then as always, hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and on your YouTube channel. Just show us a little love. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Lex, thank you so much. Like, seriously,
Thank you so much.
I knew when I asked and I was like, please say yes. And you were like, yeah, I'm down. I was like, yes, this is so good.
Absolutely.
Good for everybody. So thank you for coming. Thank you for waking up early again, because she's in Japan.
Yes.
So, yes.
We do really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And to everyone out there,
wasn't too early. That was good.
Yeah, no, not too. No, yeah.
And for everyone listening, go forth and create great user design.
Yes.
User experiences, right?
Yes.
That's your action item this week. Come back and tell us how it went.
We believe in you.
Yes. Bye, everybody.